about Plato's allegory of the cave. Now, at last year's UK Hypnosis Convention, I spoke briefly about the importance of philosophical reasoning while I was presenting at the gala dinner. And it may seem a little bit unusual to reference such a topic during a convention dedicated to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, but such philosophical reasoning is something that I believe really important to the field of hypnotherapy if it's to move forward. And so I thought I'd kind of share and explain that in a bit more detail here on the Hypnosis Geek YouTube channel too. So Plato's allegory of the cave it's a theory about human perception, and it's found in The Republic, Book 7. And it really resonates with me as a hypnotherapist and as a hypnotherapy trainer. Now, Plato claimed that knowledge gained purely through the senses is nothing more than opinion, and that in order to have real knowledge, we must gain it through philosophical reasoning. Anyway, the allegory of the cave, Plato distinguishes between people who mistake sensory knowledge for the truth, and it stimulates discussion about how to seek the actual truth. So Plato would start off by asking his students to imagine a cave that's got 3 prisoners inside of it. And the prisoners have been in the cave since birth, and they know nothing of the world outside of the cave. And they are unable to move because their limbs are tied to some heavy rocks, and they have their heads tied into position so that they cannot look at anything but the stone cave wall that's in front of them. And yes, I know Plato's allegory of the cave sounds pretty brutal as far as allegories go, but it is hypothetical. It's designed to stimulate philosophical discussion and not to highlight the cruel plight of 3 prisoners. Okay, so remember that. So behind the prisoners, there's a fire, and between them is a raised walkway. Between the fire and the prisoners, there's a parapet along which puppeteers can walk. And the puppeteers who are behind the prisoners hold up puppets that cast shadows on the wall of the cave. And the prisoners are unable to see these puppets, the real objects that pass behind them. And what the prisoners see and hear are shadows and echoes cast by the objects that they do not see. So having set this scene, Plato would then ask his students and listeners something along the lines of, imagine that you are one of the prisoners. You cannot look at anything behind or to the side of you. You must look at the wall in front of you. When people walk along the walkway, you can see shadows of objects that they're carrying that are cast onto the wall. Now, if you'd never seen the real objects ever before, you believe that the shadows of the objects were real. You would not know any different or any better. So Plato suggests that the prisoners would begin a kind of game of guessing which shadow would appear next. And if one of the prisoners were to correctly guess, the others would praise him as clever and say that he were a master of nature. He then says that one of the prisoners escapes from their bindings and leaves the cave. And the prisoner is shocked at the world that he discovers outside of the cave. Doesn't believe it can be real. And as he becomes used to his new surroundings, he realizes that his former view of reality was wrong. And he begins to understand his new world and embarks on this kind of intellectual journey where he discovers beauty and meaning and recognizes that his former understanding of life and the world was mistaken. And this guessing game that they used to play was wrong and misleading, in fact. So therefore, the prisoner returns to the cave to inform the other prisoners of his findings. And they don't believe him, and they threaten to kill him if he tries to set them free. Now, that's it, basically. That's it. That's Plato's allegory of the cave. And discussions would ensue. Now, there's many interpretations, including Plato's own explanation, whereby the escaped prisoner represents the philosopher who seeks knowledge outside of the cave and outside of the senses. His intellectual journey represents a philosopher's journey when seeking and finding truth and wisdom. So for me, and the relevance of this, Plato's allegory of the cave is as useful as it helps me to often question my own love and leaning toward empirical evidence within my professional field, and to do all I can to offer up philosophical reasoning as I look to understand this wonderful field that we all work in. I look to seek as much truth as we're able to as far as hypnosis and hypnotherapy goes. More than this, though, I believe that it's important for all of us within this field to recognize that a lot of what gets taught in the professional hypnotherapy field may be just shadows cast upon the wall by those providing training. Much is taught as fact, when actually a lot of the received wisdom in the hypnotherapy field often does not stand up to scientific scrutiny, as I've referred to often before on this channel, and neither does it stand up to similar philosophical reasoning, for example. So recently I've been working with a highly respected educational society here in the UK who have never permitted non-medically trained individuals to teach, lecture or educate their members. Yet I have lectured for them on a number of occasions in this past year as a result of me pointing out some issues with some of their curriculum and recommending that they philosophize a little bit about their stance and how it could benefit them greatly to do so as they seek to discover more of the truth of this field for themselves. Now, even they were swayed, even they were capable of escaping the cave that they once used to dwell in. They probably wouldn't appreciate me saying that. But in order to liberate this field of ours and advance its credibility, I believe that we all need to be swayed more. We all need to critique who and how we are more of the time. We all need to robustly examine our beliefs, the way we conceptualize hypnosis, the way we explain the mind, the way we teach hypnotherapy, the way we examine and critique what we are taught, and the way we all develop our credibility and education of this wonderful field of ours. And I thought that Plato's allegory of the cave really helps illustrate that beautifully. That's it today. That's all. Do subscribe to this channel. Visit my college website for details of our advanced trainings in this field. Best wishes. Bye for now.